Hello and welcome to another episode, installment, whatever you choose to call it, time spent on Boost Live. My name is John Nelson, the plugin CEO of plugintobusiness.net and JKLworks.com, and contributor to Atlas Agency Launch Lab and a few other places that we are. So thank you very much for giving us a little bit of time here. This is going to be kind of a humbling experience for me today for reasons that will become obvious in just a moment. So I usually wear these kinds of shirts, but I don't know if you can tell. This particular one has a logo on it, maybe hard to see there, called Green Trailer Parts. And I want to explain about that company and why this may be one of the last times I wear this shirt. It's too much, but it is a wonderful lesson learned. And these are the things that I really want to share with you as to why that is. And sort of what you can take away from it as we move forward here. So let's dive into this real quick, and then we'll go forward from there. And this is not really a live Q&A particular situation, but in one of our Facebook groups, we have had some major changes. So we're going to talk about that at the end, and I hope it's going to kind of begin to bring this home for you, at least the start of it anyway. So let me introduce you, if I can push the right button there. There we go. Why business failure can breed success and what we can learn from it. So one of the things that we can do as marketers to stand out, folks, is tell stories. Tell stories about our successes. Tell stories about our failures. Bragging or success is not bragging necessarily. I mean, yeah, you can take it too far, but everybody tells a little bit of story about their success as to how they got to where they are, based on something that was a win, something that was good. Maybe there's a really cool story behind a client that you've helped, and that can make a huge difference for you. So there's that. But I want to tell you the story of Green Trailer Parts. Okay, so this was formed in about 2016. So 7 years ago now. This is the end of 2023 when this video is being shot. So this was formed in 2016, and it was about a year after, not even quite a year after I came to work from another outfit. Always had an ownership position in a company called Green Trailer and Equipment, but then came in to actually work in the company. And most of us who did have ownership also had regular jobs. Mine was usually the director of business operations type of thing for these different companies. So yes, I had ownership, but that was downplayed. It was used when necessary, but mostly downplayed. And it was, and then we, had regular jobs within the organization to help it grow and help it thrive and help it prosper. So Green Trailer and Equipment, I know it's not what's on your screen, but I'll get to it in a second. Green Trailer and Equipment was a big over-the-road trailer dealer. These are big flatbed drop deck trailers. These are big tanks. They are pulled by larger trucks. They are commercial vehicles, commercial trailers. And so we had a business with some modest success selling those and leasing them. We also sold shipping containers and eventually had a program to rent shipping containers as well that was a little less successful. But we had it. And then we had to residential folks. There's a lot of our people, though there were some commercial. Then we later added portable buildings. We added smaller trailers and all that. And then we decided most good trailer dealers that we knew of, and we knew a lot of people in the industry, particularly my colleagues who were the general manager and operations manager respectively, knew a lot more people in the trailers industry. And all of them had parts departments, right? So that's how Green Trailer Parts came to be. It was a separate business. It was kept as a separate business because the investment was different than Green Trailer and Equipment. So it was set up as a parts entity, and it was designed to be the not only the supplier for Green Trailer and Equipment trailers that we sold, but we tried to take it a step further and help it to be the in-house parts department for different businesses. So businesses that had smaller shops, that didn't want to mess with going to the big parts stores to get things that they needed to keep their trailers going. The idea was we would keep parts on a parts room on hand that we would stock for them. And as they used those parts, they would be deducted and billed for the parts that they used. Okay, so that's the idea. Later we added, and that's kind of what some of those pictures are, particularly the white one over here on the right-hand side with a company called National Vacuum Equipment that's very much still around and does a good job. We would offer big pumps and blowers. These are pieces of equipment. The smallest would be like a generator size, if you're familiar with that. The largest fits on the back of trailers and is extremely loud and can drain a pond. Given enough time of a couple of hours, they could drain a pond if and shoot that water someplace else if you wanted it to. So we later started offering those. The biggest users of those are people that deal with water or sewage or anything like that, or some folks in oil field. This is Texas. We're in Southeast Texas, and so there's a lot of oil field activity that goes on there. So that's important to note. And so that's kind of our audience that we had there. And then, we had a small but willing staff, that we're dedicated to and shared some resources from other places. But unfortunately, the humbling part of this is the general manager was yours truly. So I got to be the general manager of this thing. And even though I really didn't have, I had some trailer parts experience. I had dealt with warranty. I had dealt with some other things on the manufacturing side, purchasing, but I had not dealt with something like this as a standalone company as to what it was going to provide. Well, suffice it to say that Green Trailer Parts lived about 4 years, barely, as we couldn't really find the clients that we needed to. It was harder to look for them. They didn't really need us in this area. There were plenty of places with shops that needed repairs done or needed, work done on trailers. But it wasn't something that we seemed to be adept at providing. We didn't have the big parts warehouse along with it. It was a lot of ship to order. So we would order, so they would order whatever it was they needed, and then we would send it to them and get it to them as quickly as we could. And we had suppliers that would do that. Now, our competition was this big parts store that was in certain parts of town, literally down the road. So then they would get in their truck and go get the parts they needed, come back and solve the problem instead of waiting for days for us to do that. So then we turned our attention to the oil field with the vacuum pumps and the blowers, and it didn't quite work out. We had some willing folks. We had some opportunities there, but at the same time, we also had people who had other jobs, particularly day jobs, and one of our owners did, but he was trying his level best to be an evangelist for people he came across, but he had a day job that he had to protect, and this wasn't substituting that need. So it finally basically ceased operations in about 2019, just sort of ground to a halt. There really wasn't much there. It didn't have the particular effect that we needed it to have, and it just wasn't working well. So we finally had to shut it down. And so that was a loss. And for me, that was a particularly painful loss, because while I didn't know a lot about business, I thought I knew a fair amount. I had my epiphany of digital marketing a couple of years before in 2018. So, I was trying to orient everything to do what I needed to do, but it didn't quite work out like I thought. So spent a lot of time afterwards, and particularly for the point of this, trying to go through why it didn't work. There's lots of reasons, and it's going to sound like I'm sort of casting dispersions, at people. We failed, we did this. There was a bunch of losers in this thing. Well, you know what? Those losers start at the top, and that means me. So I failed at this, and others failed along with me, and so it was not the best that it could be. But there are lessons that we can learn from this. Okay. And that's what I want to spend the rest of the time focusing on, because they're important lessons, not only for business in general, but for digital marketers, you know? So let's do that if we can. So the first thing is we tried to create the need, not look at the need that was there. That's the first reason we failed. And they always tell you, look for opportunities, look for opportunities. Well, we thought we had some, but they really weren't that strong. And so what we ended up doing is creating the need. Okay. So if you ever get into a situation where there's something you're really passionate about doing, something you really enjoy doing, that you're really awesome at, take a good long look as to whether or not the marketplace needs that from you. Take a good long look as to whether or not that is something that is, that is important there, that can happen. So that makes a big difference. Okay. All right. Number 2 is thing that we could learn. We did not focus on our customer. Sorry, I'm looking at that off to the side, but we did not focus on our customer avatar. So we talk about that over and over around here. And Jennifer and Chris, if I will get them on here, probably maybe next year at this point with the holidays, but I will try. But to do a lot of talk about branding and positioning and all of that. And so we talk about who is your customer avatar? What traits we create this fictitious person, the simulated person, or a couple of people in some cases. They have characteristics. They have buying characteristics. They have wants. They have needs. They have all these things. We create this in marketing for ourselves and for our customers. If you don't create this, then you're destined for failure, because you're shooting at something that you may or may not be adequate to provide those services, because you don't know what those services are. So, all right. So the customer avatar is not something that we spent a lot. I mean, it's not that we didn't, but we didn't do it well. We didn't do it correctly. We didn't do it enough. So really, we would have had we done that, we would have discovered, well, these guys just get in the truck and go down to their parts store and they can get this stuff much faster than anything we can provide them. And so that's one of the lessons we would have learned had we really paid attention. And we did spend some time talking to people, talking to our customers, and learned a lot, but almost learned it too late as to what might be an issue there. All right, number 3 thing. We did not have a solid fulfillment strategy. So we were reaching out to people who, although they were very friendly, in servicing and allowing us to purchase parts from them to distribute to people at the same time, they were our competition in some ways. They were building local distributions of their own, reaching out to clients, doing some of the same things we were doing. So on the one hand, they were helping us. On the other hand, they were helping themselves. So our fulfillment strategy was not what it needs to be. If you're putting together a business of any kind, you need to map out what this is going to look like. What happens after the sale? What happens after they say yes? We've done lives on this before. What happened? How do you continually service that client? How do you continually move that forward? So what does that fulfillment strategy look like? So that is the thing. So, all right. And then yet another thing is we did not, this is the last thing. So we did not have a full-time evangelist. We did not have, yes, we had full-time people. Yes, we had folks working on this. We did not have somebody who was a parts expert, who was really strongly passionate about this, who's really into sales, who can really back this up as being, this is why you need these, to be able to speak to these needs that we were misidentifying. We did not have those people. Parts was not my background. We did bring on a sales guy, but parts is not his background really either. At least not parts like this. I mean, he dealt with restoring cars, but not quite the same, and not quite the same urgency, and not quite the same ability to pivot when customers identify things that are issues that we could change. So we didn't have that evangelist. We didn't have that opportunity. We didn't have that thing going. So these are the things looking back. I mean, look for a moment at this list as to how much that you could change out of this. Okay, so now let's talk about going forward. Let's talk about what going forward looks like. What can we truly learn from this? What can we learn from these mistakes? What can we learn from these stories? Maybe you have stories just like this, maybe you have experiences that have helped define what you do and what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and why you want to do or don't want to do those things. It's really important. Okay. So number one thing that we can take away: know your avatar, know your customer, learn your customer, take extra time, painstaking time, and build this fictitious person from multiple people. Don't just interview one person and call it good. Okay. So find a way, talk to different people that are in the industries that you want to serve. Talk to different, really do fact-finding mission. Don't pitch them. Spend some time, if they'll give it to you, learning from what they do, what their story, listen to their stories, listen to what successes are, listen to what their failures are, listen to their different items that can make a big difference there. So that's important. So know that avatar, and know what their buying habits are, know what their real needs are, know what the services are that you can provide, that they really need, they somehow will miss otherwise. Okay. So be fully aware of needs and holes. So this is what I was saying a second ago. Be fully aware of what's really needed out there. Be fully aware of whether or not what you're offering. I mean, are there thousands of people offering the exact same cookie cutter approach that you're doing? What makes you different? I've been preaching about this a lot lately, guys, but it's out of love. Okay. So, because I want to see you succeed. I want to see digital marketing overcome some of the stereotypes that are involved with it. I want to see us become problem solvers and confidants, and not just somebody there to, even if you're just providing one service, be that problem solver. I just brought on somebody today. He'll start next week. That is, I'm sure he does a lot of other things, but the main one is really setting up a YouTube channel the right way, and adding the proper thumbnails and adding everything that's put together there, and really doing that well and having a knack for doing that well. You may offer other services, but this is the one that's needed, and this is the one that's important, particularly for my area and for others that how I ended up finding him and connecting with him. It's important to them too. So, that's a big deal. That's a big situation. And so even if you're just offering one service, it's important that you see where that need is, and that there actually is a need, and there actually is a hole to be filled. And you're the one how are you uniquely positioned to fill that hole and to provide that service, right? Okay. Number 3, know your cost and your profit. Okay. This seems obvious, but crucial. The profit margins. Know your cost of your services that you can provide, that you can realistically provide. How many hours does it take to do this? What you're talking about. Is it repeatable? Can you do, basically, yes, you want to add your own spin to it, but can you do the same things over and over? Or do you have to reinvent the wheel for every new client that comes along? How long does this take you to do this? Does it take you longer than it's supposed to? Does it take you longer than it might other people who do this all day, every day? Is there some way you can adapt it? And then, are you making any money off of that? Nobody likes to work for charity. We do sometimes, but we want to do that on our terms, right? There are nonprofit people that you should support. You should get in there and lend your expertise to. Okay. But before that, you have to eat. You have to make money. You have to do what you have to do to survive. So know how much these services are going to cost, what they cost you to provide them, and then what kind of little bit of money you can make off of that. and, find it in a way that's comfortable for you. As for us in that company, there wasn't enough. There wasn't a lot. I mean, we weren't a complete and total abject failure. We did have a few clients, very few, and there was a tiny bit of profit there. But what we spent in costs and what we spent in everything else in between those sales did not support the sales that we got. So you need to know those, and you need to know what one of the owners there that was he introduced me to. He always had on his phone. It was an app that calculated margins, and a margin calculator is a little bit different than just a regular calculation. Okay, it helps you figure out what your margin is on everything, and he was fanatical about that, and with good reason, So he would constantly be pinging me about that, going, okay, what's your margin on this? What's your sales? What's your profit margin on this that you're getting? Is it enough to offset your cost? Are you making money on this? Or are you not making money on this? So those are very important, and they're not always talked about. Okay. They seem obvious, but they're not always. Okay. They just don't. Okay. And the last thing you can learn here, I believe, is to leverage experts and evangelists. Find them, surround yourself with them, take their advice, get advice from multiple experts, from multiple sources. There's somebody who's done what you're doing, and there's always something in the world. There's always a green trailer parts story for them that they wish they would have done differently. And they'll be happy to tell you why. Learn from that experience. Okay. Learn from those people. Surround yourself with that's what these communities that these videos are showing in are designed to do. Surround yourself with those people and learn and grow. Okay. And ask questions. We'll make sure you can ask questions. When you're busy, not busy pitching people, you actually might, there's a lot of expertise to be had. There was somebody going through our Facebook group today, answering some questions. So good on you. So that is out there. So ask those questions, put some things out there. There's going to be some more that we're dropping into as conversation starters to help encourage that. And so use us as experts, use the communities that you're in to ask the questions with the answer that you need. Now, you also need somebody who's an evangelist. You need and tack yourself onto them. Make sure those people, if they're in our case, in marketing cases, that's generally a customer. Okay. That's why I'm so big on referrals. You knew I couldn't let a whole live go without mentioning something about referrals, right? So in this case, they're a product evangelist. They're a service evangelist. These are the people that, yes, it could be somebody within your company, within your group, within your whatever, that's very passionate about the services that they're providing, that you're providing, and they really know how to talk to people. And they really know how to get them going about it. But there could also be a customer who just had the most incredible experience with you and is ready to tell the world. They'll let the world know everything that they need to know about you, and it's all wonderful and it's all glowing. It's almost fake, but it's not. Because their results are just that good. We can generate that type of profit margin with people. We can change that type of lifestyle. That's why I talk about in my messaging, real business life change. This is what we can do with people. This is the power that we have. I'm looking at some other services as well that can get like 300% return on investment. I mean, it's stunning what it can do. So, I mean, it is get evangelists, recruit evangelists, don't recruit them, but I mean, anybody that has a remotely good experience with you as a customer, or seeing what it does for their company, even though they may not be directly the customer that you dealt with, but they're part of the company and they see how you turn things around in their company culture, by providing money and profit and success. It's not a bad thing. It's never been a bad thing. It can go to your head, but it can also change your life in wonderful ways. So find and nurture and create those product evangelists while you're looking for the experts. Okay. So that is what can be taken away from Green Trailer Parts. It was I'm glad I went through the situation. I'm glad I went through it all. But it's not something that I would choose to live again if I had the options. I do a lot of things differently, but I've learned so much even in that 7-year time frame. I have learned a ton, and it will affect everything that I do, for the rest of my business days. That's an experience that I can't get it back and do it differently, but I can go forward with mistakes made and lessons learned, and learn tremendous amounts about how to provide real, true value for businesses. That's what, and nonprofit organizations are in this, is that, the money's great, and the money can be stunning in some cases, but it's really providing value. It's looking for ways to change, a business world, a customer's world, because of the things that you offer. Even the seemingly simple things that you offer help them to feed their family, help them to, change somebody's life, literally and figuratively. So I hope that is a bit of a story that helps you. If you have a Green Trailer Parts type of story of your own, put it in the comments, or make a video of it. I'll make sure that it gets out there. But more than that, if you don't want to share it here, that's cool. That's fine. But make it a part of what you do. Make it a part of your why. Make it a part of, okay, I don't think we have fully explored what happens if we decide to say no. If we always talk about our success, business success, because, that's what people need, right? So we don't talk about business failure enough. Okay. And what we learned from it. But it's important, if you're going to bring up the business failure, to say, okay, this is what I learned from this. This is how it's going to be different. This is how we will do this different. And I will never go back there again, because this is what I learned. And you're the beneficiary of it, Mr. and Mrs. Client. You are the ones who are going to win for this, for my previous failure. I'm not perfect. You shouldn't expect me to be perfect, but I will learn, and I will grow, and I will adapt. Okay. So with that in mind, let's talk about a term that's starting to be thrown around our groups, both the LinkedIn and Facebook groups that we're all in here, and that is plugin services. You might be wondering a little bit about what plugin services are. So let's talk about what plugin services are. All right. So this is kind of our attempt to help define some of this. And I hope for you guys, it makes maybe this is something that will help you to incorporate what you do and to do it better. Okay. So plugin services, they are something we actually already provide, all of us. They are outsourced, they are white labeled, they are all those things. We do provide those. So this is something really that we want to do. Okay. So they are, they fill gaps that businesses can't do themselves. Okay. That's something else that we do here. These plugin services that all of us provide, whether it's building a website, doing SEO, doing ads, setting up a referral program, setting up a CRM, setting up doing some appointment setting for them. This is all needs that we fill that nobody else can do, right? Okay, so another thing is this is all on the screen, but I want to kind of flesh it out a little bit more, okay? These are smaller sales, but with higher frequency. So typically, this is not a big system. This is a bunch of small components of that system that turn into something bigger. Now you can combine those into something that's a system that's sort of flexible, but you can, whatever your services, your plugin services are, because it's just frankly shorter than saying outsourced or white labeled or customer or people provided services, digital marketing services. No, plugin services. Okay, all of it's plugin services. Also, they require. Okay, let me see if I can explain this last second to last piece here. They require means to stand out. So what that means is, and I've said it way too much in here, but it does bear repeating. There are, I see them every day. Go high level expert, 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 I'm confused. I don't, which one's the go high level expert? Okay, you all are. Okay, right. But you don't stand out. There's nothing about what you do that stands out. Nothing about, maybe it's it's the proverbial, we have the whole list of resumes, right? If we're looking for a job, how does somebody stand out? How do you stand out in those job searches? How do you stand out in that prospecting? How are you different? Why should I pick you over anybody else? There are many, many factors that come to that, but you have to find that thing for yourself, for the services that you offer that help you stand out in positive ways. Maybe that's, ending up with somebody who's an evangelist for you, that goes out and talks to people about, either virtually or in person, about who you are and what you do, the service they provide, tells their story of what you did for them that makes a difference. Maybe you end up with several of those. Maybe you end up with, a reputation that you can point to of, okay, that website, I built that website. Those videos, I made the thumbnails for those videos. I produced those videos. How about that? I got dozens of appointments. Here, talk to this person, and you'll see what happened. So everybody, no matter what service you're offering, the results, find ways to stand out, find ways to get noticed, find in a positive way, find ways to really help yourself and your business, be your own evangelist, to really help stand this out. Spend your day, some of your time each day, thinking about how you can do this. How can you be different? How can you be noticed in a crowd of website designers, or a crowd of AI people, or a crowd of whatever? Why should somebody pick you over everybody else that's doing what you think you're going to do? Maybe it's the groups you target. Maybe it's the places you work on. Maybe it's any number of factors, but you're going to have to find a ways to stand out, right? Okay, last 2 points. Customer service is crucial in this. That is a way you can stand out, by providing excellent customer service. No matter what it is that you sell, no matter what services that you offer, be available, be flexible, work with them, offer, peeks behind the curtain as to why you're doing what you're doing. Have dialogue with them, have conversations, this with your customers, by the way. Have conversations with your customers, become, even if you offer 1 or 2 services, become that indispensable person that they cannot do without, even on the simple thing that you're working on, right? Become that resource for them. Become that thing that person that they call is, okay, I know you don't do this, but what is your take on this particular thing? Okay. And when you start getting those calls or those emails, that's when you're in good, because they're asking you for things that may or may not be in your expertise, but they are giving you for a shot because you have treated them well, because you have provided excellent service for them. So do not miss that point at all. Customer service is going to be huge in providing any type of plugin service that we as digital marketers, marketing strategists, and business strategists do offer. Okay. And the final point that certainly, bears, I think this is where this is all going. Okay. I really do. This is where, we're seeking, while we're seeking to do this individually, digital marketing strategy, business strategy as a whole is constantly on the lookout to how do we remain relevant? How do we remain needed? How do we find ways there is a stigma around some pieces of digital marketing that your college kid, and all due respect to those of you who maybe are just out of college, 20 somethings that are watching this. How does your college kid, that's, oh yeah, they took a marketing class or two. They know everything about marketing. So then they are put in a position that they can't possibly support and they fail. And that's the brush we all get painted with. Versus the kid that maybe did go to college, that is just out, but is an excellent videographer, excellent website designer, excellent, knows how to do sales, knows how to do different things, and really starting to get their reputation out there, and they're running into somebody's SEO failure from 3 years ago that it's not even something they offer, but because you're digital marketing, hey. So there's things that we have to overcome. And this is, I truly believe this plugin service concept is how we can start to do that. We provide the services that we're good at. We don't necessarily provide the services that we're not good at, but we know how to connect people to them, even if we're the one running that show. So say, for example, I'm working with a customer and they're doing a whole big CRM go high level development. Then they decide, you know what, I want to do ads. I really, really want to do ads. And you looking at their situation as their advisor, more than just their CRM provider, I would look and say, okay, yeah, I think you're at a point now. We have done everything else that we can do to try to generate customers for you, to try to get them in the door. So ads is the place we need to go. So I will make that happen. They've given me first shot, but what they don't know is that I'm not particularly good at ads. Can I do them? Yes. Do I know people? Do I know experts that I can bring in that will do them better? Yes. So I price it in such a way that I can bring in the expert that I want, that I trust, that I know will do a good job. And they're under my umbrella. So I bring their plugin service into what I offer. And in that particular case, then I get to offer ads to my client and meet their needs and provide good customer service, even though I'm not the one directly doing the ads, but I'm getting constant reports. I'm making sure that my ad person is doing a stellar job, and then I'm reporting back to my client the results, and we're getting the great results because they're really good people, but they don't necessarily know, or if they do know, they trust that, yes, I'm bringing in an ad person who can do this better than I can, and I'm responsible for them, and I will take care of that. That's how you can cobble plugin services into the different things that you offer. And so not only is it services that you offer, it's services that you bring in to make you more than the sum of your parts. Okay. So then you get something you get an opportunity to do something really special there. So yeah, that's the deal. So that, I hope that sort of defines what plugin services are, or at least tries to anyway. All right, that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for watching. We're going to dive into more of the plugin services idea in the next couple of weeks leading up to the holidays, including a very familiar face next week who hopefully is able to come and be a part of this and explain what's been going on from a little different angle, and have some services that will help you guys to succeed. There will be lots more of that. We may even do some pop-up lives all along the way. So thank you very much for watching. We will talk to you real soon. See you in the group.